And by brunch, you just saw there on the desk with Gravity, and we are now in Junkertown. And I had a chance to ask Chubbs the fated question, something that I've been wondering. It's been on my mind for a little bit here. And I asked him. I said, "Tell me about Reinhardt. I mean, constantly with these first points, you just always see him on that Reinhardt, especially attacking. What's the deal?" And he said that it's his best hero, and that's it. That's the reasoning. He said it's just, and I quote, "unlucky that Reinhardt is just garbage right now." So that's what he told me. So we actually finally had the insight into why that's the case. But at the moment, he's on the Orisa, so we'll have to see if he winds up switching or not. Although looking at the defense here, what a composition we're seeing. Again, not seeing the Mercy, and seeing Crusade and Funny Astro again back in play, actually, and Kib on the Reaper. Craggy going to be utilizing the Widowmaker here.
It's going to be an interesting one. At the very least, he will be able to contest any squishies coming out of the offensive side, as well as the Widowmaker. That looks to be the case for Poppy Fresh. They might even expect Naga to roll out that Hanzo, and since he's been a really good projectile DPS player as well, is not something that's not to be expected necessarily. But Kib on that Reaper will be able to deal at the very least with that tanky lineup. However, considering it's an El Presidente comp, do you think Reaper is indeed a safer choice?
Well, they can get aggressive here. Remember that they do have that Lucio Moira, so they're going to want to try to utilize fusions and just run at them as fast as possible. That's exactly what you're going to see here. Speed boost onto the payload. They instantly take out Marine Lord on the Bastion. Should be able to clean up here as well, but that double sniper just not going to be able to find those kills quickly enough to just return fire.
But for now, it will be Naga still dancing around top of the payload with Ridro. Still left alive for now, since Crusade did go down in particular. Engaged Krems gets the pull, manages to desuit Havocal as a result, even taking him down. So slowly but surely, they might set up once again, and as a result, make things really difficult for those guys to recover.
You see Fusion's just kind of camping out in this side room here. He doesn't have any barrier left. Obviously, with that Reinhardt, he's not going to be able to get anything going here, but Craggy with a nice kill there on the Widow, eliminating Poppy Fresh, but still need to get a little bit more than that. Naga almost took Craggy out there. If that would have been a headshot, that would have been it, but pulling Craggy back. He's just going to go to the sky right now, but nonetheless, they're still looking for the opportunity to jump back in. They have the opportunity to contest this payload here. Kib now in play, trying to take down Marie Lord, does find that kill. They're getting aggressive as we do see Naga pull out that Dragon Strike.
And it was just able to deal so much damage to that backline, to those tanks as well. And now with that kill coming onto Craggy, it is going to be a man advantage in favor of Piece of Cake. And it's just those 3 members left, and after that pull, and with Poppy Fresh killing up Crusade as well, it's a matter of time. Havocal just stalling, just trying to get as much time shaven off as possible. And at the very least, for the side of those guys, they will have quite a few ultimates to work with. But on the other hand, Piece of Cake, good to go with Dridro on their Mercy.
This is where I think Kib is going to shine here on this Reaper pick. He has that Death Blossom ready to go, can kind of fall from up top, get involved from multiple angles as well, going around the side, and they're going to go ahead and speed boost around, I have to imagine. Here it comes. Boost comes. They drop down. Booping actually Krim's back. The Dragon Strike comes out for a second time from Naga. They're going to jump on him and find that kill.
And now with the second one falling short, Craggy picking up another one. Things are not looking good for Piece of Cake. Chubbs didn't manage to find fusions, but it's all they get. And Marine Lord going for the Transcendence. Not entirely sure why they commit to that, but maybe it's because Ridro went in for the Resurrect. But remember, again, advantage in favor of those guys as they will continue to clean up. And just like you said, Kib definitely able to go in, deal out a lot of damage. He still has the Death Blossom, but some kills coming out of Poppy Fresh. He's answering with 2 of his own.
That's huge too, because no mercy for those guys at all. Now they're going to be forced back a little bit. Kib might try to make a play here with the Death Blossom. He gets hooked out and somehow stays alive. Does manage to get that mega health pack as well. So he's going to start trying to dish out some damage. Krims finds that kill as now Fusions lays a few on the floor, takes out Krims, can actually go ahead and zone out this Zenyatta player as well. Marine Lord going to be very tough to press into that Reinhardt now, and Chubbs forced back to the Mega, gonna get charged, but he's gonna go ahead and just stop that completely with the Fortify. Staying alive for some time here, Marine Lord finally makes his way out of that pocket that he was kind of forced into by Fusions, and slowly but surely they're winning this fight here. We do see Coalescence at the ready, but Brunch, I don't know. I mean, it seems like some kind of momentum created here for Piece of Cake.
And now we'll see at the very least Kib make the swap over to the Genji. Will allow him to at the very least counter Poppy Fresh a little bit on that Widowmaker, who had really enabled his team to come back into that next team fight, get a hold of that payload, and cover a lot of distance. But this next team fight is going to go down. They're not going to just go ahead and let them get the next checkpoint. And now Chubbs is going to go ahead, use his ultimate, boost up that damage. Craggy takes it down, however, Fusions gets Poppy Fresh, finds that particular target, and Marine Lord again with the Transcendence. Naga picks up Funny Ass Rune. That's a big pick.
Important kill onto that Mercy, because now there's just no potential for staying here for an extended period of time at all. But now Kib popping off a little bit here. Found 2 kills, a big one actually, onto that Mercy. So now it's turned around completely. They deny the attack. They deny that point from being taken here. Those guys somehow holding on with 140 remaining. Brunge, it looks like those guys, with the swaps that they've made, have kind of found a little bit better of a stride for themselves, at least defensively. And now it looks like with the blade coming up from Kib and Craggy ready to go with the pulse bomb pretty soon here too, Naga off the Junkrat, I don't know, it seems like those guys might have a chance to make a stop.
Poppy Fresh did make the swap over to the Tracer as well, so we'll see if this dive composition will pay off for them. As you said, Kib now looking to carry on top of that Genji as well, not just let his teammate have all the spotlight, as they will continue to pick out Naga, and Fusions gets that kill, and with the 6v5 advantage and with the positional disadvantage Mercy would have for going in with the Resurrect, things are not looking good again for Piece of Cake, considering they have 60 seconds left on that timer.
Now we're seeing Kib going forward as well. Still was able to hold on to that blade, and look what they've got for this last fight. They have the blade, as I was just saying, but they also have both support ults, the Coalescence, which is going to be used both offensively and defensively to try to keep Fusions Happy Cool alive more than likely, but also to put some pressure down onto that tank and midline for Piece of Cake. But now they have to deal with the Transcendence. Kib again going to have to display some of that patience that we've seen from him in the past to try to get that kill either early or just wait for that Transcendence to pop out, which could certainly happen here with 19 seconds left. They're going to look for anything.
But the early Valk is going to be big. Naga picks up 2 kills, and as a result, both Resurrects popped by Funny Astro. The self-destruct is going to go through, doesn't find any target, and as a result, Crusade still answers. Valk, in return, coming out of the side of Piece of Cake, as Nagas will be bracked up. Marine Lord, though, goes down after he did use his Transcendence. Coalescence is going to be out. Overtime kicks in. They really need to get this payload, and Kib, waiting it out patiently on that blade, is going to look for those targets, finds the proper ones, and with the reset as well. This is just going to be cleanup for those guys as they continue to win it out.
Kib killed off within, I believe, like a second and a half on that blade, but still managing to get 2 kills off of that. That's exactly what he needed to accomplish there, making a fantastic hold with the rest of his team right after that first capture, right before the second actually went through. So in a great position now to turn around here and get these 2 points in their favor and take Junkertown very early on in pretty dominant fashion if they wind up doing it. Now, looking at the attacking composition that we're seeing, it's looking like it's going to be pretty similar, actually, to the comp that we saw the other way around with Piece of Cake. Now, the question is, what is Kib going to be playing here? Because I feel like Kib will probably play the Hanzo if anybody does play the Hanzo, but it might be Happy Cool. I don't exactly know what those hero pools are looking like. But if that's the case, who's going to be playing the off-tank if they want to play an off-tank at all? And if so, which one are they going to want to employ? Because we do currently see fusions on the Reinhardt, although it looks like we're kind of swapping things around a little bit now. The Orisa's back in play. Expect to see a Roadhog if they wind up going with something like this.
We'll see if it's going to pay out, but more importantly here for Piece of Cake, it seems like they pretty much had similar issues to the last time they had to fight an opponent on Junkrat, being stopped right before that second checkpoint. It happened again, unfortunately for them, as Naga's gonna be really sneaky on that Junkrat. Works sometimes in quick play. I'm not so sure if it's gonna work, of course, against the likes of those guys, setting up a trap right at their spawn. It's gonna at the very least make it a little bit more annoying for the offensive team. Craggy hovering over that Mei has definitely been in earlier seasons a menace on that particular pick, but this is one thing that I was thinking about. If when you ask, or rather pose the question, who's going to play the off tank, Kib has been really good at that Roadhog, so I wouldn't be too surprised to see him go with it.
And Happy Cool is going to stick with the Hanzo here, so they're going to be opting for that same composition, utilizing that multiple angles of threat, you know, with those several snipers taking different sides, just going ahead and putting out a lot of damage from different angles, just to try to take advantage of the fact that that Orisa can't control all of those different angles. Now, Craggy kind of looking for that Widow duel, it seems, with Popey Fresh. Popey Fresh was looking very good so far. Already took the Mercy out, make it a second with that Bastion kill off the point as well. And they're going to clean up with ease. And it's the Widowmaker here from Popey Fresh, not just the Tracer that we've seen in the past, really making an impact.
But that is a pretty good pick coming out of Kib at the very least, who potentially could make things a little worse for Ray here when it comes to the side of Piece of Cake. However, with the staggered kills, it does mean that for the side of those guys, they're not going to be able to set up as fast as they might like. Dridro, of course, should be able to go back towards his team to follow suit enough. But Crag is going to be able to find Poppy Fresh, and without that particular threat, Dridro might look in for the Resurrect. The Reptar is going to come through this find the targets. Yes! And the Prime ones at that. Crusade being shut down alongside Fusion does mean that this should be another good teamfight win for Piece of Cake.
They stopped the push completely with those two kills, just taking the payload out of the equation, because once you just de-nest Crusade and Fusions, now they have to spend that extra amount of time trying to get back onto the payload, back set up, or they just have to swap. And that's they actually just take the latter. Crusade going to be making that adjustment over to the Zenyatta. We saw Piece of Cake making that on their attack as well, just because, you know, once you lose that control on the payload, it's very hard to set back up again. It's better more often than not to just go ahead and make those swaps, try something new, try to get in again with Happy Cool here, coming around the side, making a flank play and making a big one at that, taking that first kill, going to help out for the second one as Craggy finds that finishing blow onto Naga.
But he will be brought back up by Dridro. Crag is going to be brought up back up as well, but Happy Cool finds that target with the scatter arrow, and the Riptar is going to go out. Does he find any targets? No. Unfortunately for the side of Naga, he's going to go down instead. Happy Cool popping off on that Hanzo somewhat, but overall, still, Piece of Cake not going out without a fight, as Marine Lord is going to be able to find Craggy there as well.
And it really seems like they've been kind of struggling on the front line, and I think a big reason for that is that Chubb's actually playing the Orisa. I mean, they're able to dish out so much damage, especially with Naga there on the Junkrat, with the Riptires providing a little bit of extra help. Ripping down that barrier, it provides a lot of open opportunities and big angles of attack for Popey Fresh to just start finding kills onto Mercies.
But Naga did go down there. Happy Cool picks up another one onto Marine Lord. Fusion slowly but surely pushing forward. And now with the Transcendence finally on top of that payload, it is going to be those guys picking it back up and achieving that particular checkpoint. And they will have 3 minutes and 27 seconds left. And considering the overall time and the distance they need to cover, they can definitely get a win here on Junkertown.
Fusion's going forward here. They do have control here, but they definitely want to take this fight a little bit slow at the moment. They just want to try to generate one of these ultimates to get an advantage, and once they have one of these, they're going to be surging on forward, trying to press an advantage that they can create into some momentum to just go ahead forward. Now a nice hook onto Chubbs. That's going to force out a nice ultimate from the Whole Hog. Happy Cool helping out with that one. They open the fight with a really important kill onto the Orisa. Now no shields are going to be there for Piece of Cake at all, as Crim's trying to hold the fort down. Not going to happen. He gets stuck as well. Craggy finds the kill.
And now Riptar is going to come out. Can it find any targets? Seems like nothing will be achieved. And Dridro just trying to fly around, get his teammates back up. Naga's going to fight on the payload. It's just oh so close. 3 meters away. Nobody there to contest. And oh, in the nick of time, just coming in the cavalry. But the Earth Shatter is going to set 2 of them down on the ground. And with the cleanup kills, it's going to be those guys slowly but surely securing that first map win.
Not the cleanest of first points, Sponge, but certainly looking a lot better on second. Kiv with a fantastic hook there. The chain hook opening things up to create a lot of momentum like we were talking about. And as soon as you took out Chubbs from that equation, you bring away all of that shield protection that he brings to the table. All of a sudden, everything opens up. You can start really kind of dishing out the damage to the Diva. Everybody else is vulnerable, and that's when you can start pushing forward. Fusions was there, and a great denial as well from Happy Cool on that return from the respawns.
And we'll find out the outcome of the next map as we'll be going over to a short break. Don't go anywhere.
Once again, it seems that Junkertown is piece of cake, so to say, kryptonite.
You could say that. Unfortunately for them, they got stopped around that second checkpoint yet again. But at the very least, their first point defense was really good. They almost managed a full hold, which is very unexpected for Junkertown.
Yeah, for a moment I believed that they would actually get away with it, but as soon as they lost that first point, it was just steamroll till the end. Who would you point out as a standout player in that series?
It's a multiple effort win for sure, but I did really like Kib on that Roadhog. I liked the picks he was able to achieve and the room he was able to create on that particular hero when it comes to the offense. Of course, when it comes to the Genji, they, of course, also were really, really good.
Okay, it seems that we are ready to jump into a Temple of Anubis. Casters, take it away.
Welcome back, everybody. Now going over to Temple of Anubis, as Gravity just told you, and now we're going to be able to see Kib once again on that Genji that we just saw. Puppy Fresh, though, back on the Tracer, and I think this is where things get kind of interesting because obviously a 1v1 between Craggy and Puppy Fresh is something to look forward to at all times because between you and I, Brunch, this has been touted as probably the best two Tracers that we've seen so far in this Group A, and certainly a little bit of a standout in comparison to the others. Maybe kind of, Onigod has had a couple of really strong performances as well, but it's really been these two really showing off so far in this group stage.
And not only on Tracer, even when it comes to the Widowmaker, Poppy Fresh in that last map did have quite a few good kills overall, picking up a double and triple in some cases, going off from the side. And now that we will be moving on to Anubis, no Widowmaker just yet on either end. Funny Astro will be picking up that Lucio once more. So what's your take on Anubis defense first point with the Lucio?
Well, I think they're kind of stuck with this, aren't they? I mean, Bach is not going to be able to play today. He's working, so they're playing with Funny Astro here, and he's typically their kind of control genius, their guy playing Lucio a lot, so they're kind of stuck with this. He can flex, but I think they want to go with this just to try to take advantage of the fact that he's strongest with that Lucio pick. So this could potentially hurt them, but so far it's gone well enough that I don't think it's hurt them too much so far.
So far, though, trying to go over on the right-hand side. Most of the defensive teams we've seen so far did set up on that high ground, coming in from the side just to make sure they don't give up any potential line of sights if there was a Widowmaker on offense. As Poppy Fresh is going to go pretty aggressively with the rest of his team. Chubbs and Krems going in, but Chubbs is going to be the first one to go down.
Now we're seeing Craggy kind of move around the side as well, jumping into that back line. They want to try to see if they can get some late kills, especially onto these supports. That'll be very, very big for them, and they do try to dive over to Mercy, but he's protected by that defense matrix set out by Krems. Good job protecting him, just to kind of keep a couple seconds left on the board for yourself. Now, Funny Astro, in the meantime, has gotten himself up to 80% on this sound barrier. That's big here, especially when you consider the fact that we also have the Valk ready. So defensively, they're looking very solid. Poppy Fresh going to be coming back from respawn, so the fight's coming real soon, but a lot of options here for those guys to stall this one out, or at least take the fight pretty decisively as well.
As we'll see the similar approach coming out of the offensive team. And Craggy with a beautiful pulse bomb sticky coming in from the back line. And now it's going to be continuing on to be the Those Guys show. As Kib's going to clean up once again with those resets. Gets the triple. Beautifully executed. Pushes him all the way back into the spawn. And it's going to be Those Guys looking unstoppable at this point.
These are the kind of fights that those guys really want to take. Very aggressive, very quick with the way that they just jump right in. Havoc coming back into mech here, but because of this Lucio, they like to speed around this corner. Eventually, though, we will see Piece of Cake adapting and figuring this out, so it won't last for too much longer, especially now that support ults are online for Piece of Cake, but still taking advantage of this first point hold with the Lucio with Funny Astro playing instead of Bach. Working out so far, so well.
See though if it's gonna pay off in the end, as Kib does have that blaze, is gonna wait it out. Transcendent's gonna go through. Naga though is gonna be able to pick up Funny Astro. However, the Resurrect is gonna come through. Poppy Fresh still going off, getting 2 kills on both of the tank lines, and as a result, Crusade was in a bit of a tough spot. Now able to get Fusions back up. Kib answers with the blade, and with the help of Craggy, they're still gonna go through, cut through the opposition, and overall things are looking still stellar for those guys, as Krems left by his lonesome self on the point. Chubbs, though, will be able to take down Crusade, and even though I've giving it a slight advantage to those guys. The respawn advantage coming in for Piece of Cake might come through in the end, but it's too early to tell, as still Poppy Fresh gonna find the Happy Kib contesting on the point, but he will be the last one alongside Craggy, who will go down. And finally, with 60 seconds remaining, Piece of Cake take the point, but that could have been really disastrous for them here.
What looked like could have been a mistake actually from Crims, sticking it out, just trying to play that one through there, and getting demeched by Kib, and then just being in that baby diva form. That could have been a very big mistake to just kind of draw that point out even longer. But Poppy Fresh, of course, coming up and saving the day. A couple of heroic plays from him just to kind of enable Crims to be safe in that one. Now, Funny Astro still going to be on this Lucio. Remember, Bach 1 probably would have brought the Sombra into play, so it's something a little bit different than what those guys are probably used to playing with, but still trying to take advantage of the situation that they're in here. As Fusion goes down, we see the Transcendence coming out from Marine Lord as Craggy finds a kill onto Naga. That's going to force the res more than likely if we do see Drijo coming down, and he does wind up picking that Genji back up.
Especially since he is also close to that Dragon Blade, but Kib is going to be the first one to pull it out. Gets one kill onto Marine Lord. There's going to come through, though. Gets another one onto Poppy Fresh, so Kib still fighting, still trying to turn things around for his team, but overall, gotta say, it is looking like Piece of Cake is taking this one. They didn't get the first tick just yet, and now with Marine Lord and Drijo both going down, it is gonna just be a prime show for those guys, as they will be cleaning up. However, Naga did kept on to that Dragon Blade, so they will have it going on into the next team fight. But considering both the Sound Barrier as well as the Valkyrie is good to go for those guys, it's still looking really good for them.
Something that we're seeing a lot from those guys so far is just really good ultimate usage. Great ability to just be patient when it's necessary, to hold on to ults that don't need to be pulled out. We've seen it already from Kib, but now Funny Astro displaying a lot of patience as well. I mean, I think a lot of Lucios in that situation would have pulled that Sound Barrier out to secure that, but trusting in your team is the name of the game here for those guys to try to get one step further ahead, and that's exactly what we saw from this Lucio player here.
Marine Lord managing to find Craggy in that particular engage could make it good, but Naga now with the Blaze is going to force out the Sound Barrier, and as a result, Craggy's going to answer with a Pulse Bomb. I believe that's the second stick he got onto Naga, at the very least this round, as still kills will be in favor of those guys. But the one small victory for the likes of Piece of Cake here is the fact that both support ultimates are out of the question, but they still need to look out for Kib's Dragon Blade.
I'm definitely going to be utilizing that to its full potential. You see the Transcendence coming close for Marine Lord, so certainly expect to see him trying to get aggressive, and also Craggy, of course, trying to put some pressure on those supports of Piece of Cake as they're going to go forward here, Brunge, and it looks like Marine Lord just kind of staying inside next to these tanks. The self-destruct going to come out, shouldn't find a kill, but it does on the Chubs!
And that could enable those guys to get another teamfight win, and they're just time is just slowly ticking away here for Piece of Cake. They definitely don't want to give out too much of that, even if they achieve that second point, considering how fast these assault maps can go, and one particular snowball win can achieve a really quick cap on that second point. So we'll see if that will be the case. They will re-engage Chubbs back online for them. We'll try to get a D-suit happen onto Happy Cool. Doesn't go quite through just yet. Chubbs popping that Primal Rage pretty early to try and create some space for his team.
Now he's just popping everybody around. Fusion's popped the Primal Rage of his own to just knock that Winston around Chubbs. Trying to stay alive here, does have a lot of extra healing, but now it's Marine Lord under fire. Kib comes through, slices him up. Now it's going to be Fusion's once again looking at his opposing Winston here as he falls. The healing from Marine Lord as he got res back up was just too much to get through. Now Naga pulls out the blade, Kib with one of his own. It's a little bit of a battle of the blades here on the point as he's looking for the Mercy. He misses, he whiffs the blade. Kib now gonna be under fire from this Winston, his natural counter here as they come back into this point. They need to make a play with this self-destruct, clear them off the point, find some kills inside of it. Happy Cool baited out that barrier already, so this is big for them.
But can they find anything? It doesn't seem like it's going to happen. Just yet Naga getting Hafical during that D-suit period. And now Kib answering with the unwanted Marine Lord. He's going to try and make things happen for his team. But the second kills are still coming through Kib. Desperately fighting on the point. was using that deflect and manages to stay alive still for now, but Naga finally getting that kill with the reset, with those dashes, with the swift strikes. We'll see actually Chubbs pop that Prime Wage, try to knock everyone away as they are so close to capping that point at 98.1%, and they finally get it, but with 12 seconds remaining.
Very good hold, all things considered, especially from those guys. Again, Funny Astro on that Lucio throughout. You know, it doesn't seem, again, like it set them back too far. Maybe, yeah, if they had the Sombra, it might have looked a little different, but the question is how different, and either good or bad. Now, as they go ahead for their attack, you imagine that Kib is likely to be on that Genji once again. Craggy probably going to be going over to the Tracer for that kind of natural dive setup. But there's always that possibility of a switch up. Remember, they still have that Lucio player in Funny Astro. Do they want to switch things up? Do they want to kind of go back to what we saw in Junkertown, which is what we're seeing at the moment? Kib on the Reaper here could certainly dish out a lot of damage to those front line if we do see a lot of those pulled out. We'll have to see what the defense wants to select here. Crims, I believe, just giving them a quick little boost out of the gates, as Dredro likely to just be putting Chubbs up on that high ground with the Mei and then coming back, which is exactly why you see Crims on the Lucio, to make sure that that process is expedited. But then we'll see what they wind up selecting. I imagine Crims probably on a D.Va, more than likely, perhaps a Roadhog, but I feel like it's going to be a D.Va here.
Most likely a D.Va, just because it does enable that particular off-tank player to really get into position where he needs to be with the verticality, as well as just in general extra mobility options. It does help it out, and it seems like indeed it's going to be the D.Va, so definitely like what I'm seeing out of the lineup of Piece of Cake. Will be interesting one to note, because Kip, we've seen some Reaper play coming out of him already, but do you think it's really the choice here, considering most of Piece of Cake will be most likely setting up on that high ground alongside Chubbs?
It depends how they want to do this. They could go for an approach like we saw of Dallas Fuel, where you just run onto the point with the speed boost. It's obviously a little bit different because the tank lines are different, but you run onto the point as fast as possible, get underneath them, force them down onto the objective, and then start taking advantage with that Reaper. That's exactly what we're looking at right now, where the Defense Matrix is going to get them into position. They're going to go ahead and get underneath, pull those tanks down from that high ground, and start dishing out the damage with the Reaper.
And the interesting thing is Marine Lord just all by himself off to the side, but Naga is going to be taken down not before he gets a kill onto Fusions. They get a 5v5. However, the Resurrect can go out if need be. Doesn't quite go for it because of the positional disadvantage he would go into for that particular one. Poppy Fresh, though, still looking for those targets. At the very least, trying to force the opposition away, as they already achieved one tick on that objective, and still now diving in onto that backline. Marine Lord's gonna go down, and things are not looking good for Piece of Cake.
And that's what you do. You pull these guys down so they start getting weak, and then you just take advantage of that vulnerable side over there with the supports. Naga came back into the fight, though, got that Riptire off, and a lot of damage onto Craggy now as well, forcing the Coalescence off, but they still find the kill onto that Tracer, denying him of that. And now Kib, one of the only guys left on the point, they should back them off, but an initial first solid push, I would say, from those guys, it just took a lot of time to get to this stage, and they allowed Naga to come back from respawn and start kind of shifting that momentum back into Piece of Cake's favor.
And even though we will see Funny Astro be good to go with that sound barrier, Marine Lord can answer with a well-placed Transcendence. The problem is here for Marine Lord is the fact that he cannot regroup with his team on that other side, so he'll be a little bit vulnerable, potentially forced to use that Transcendence early. We'll see if that indeed will be the option, as so far trying to contest the point, will give up for now, as he will just drop down. Sound barrier is the answer.
Craggy just kind of toying with Poppy Fresh a little bit to try to deny the Infrasight easy kill. Now as Fusion goes down, we see Naga pulling out the Riptire. Doesn't find anything this time around as the self-destruct comes out actually from Crims. He doesn't find anything himself, but Happy Cool does on the other side of things, and it's somehow with that little ball there, Crusade finds 2 kills, and big ones at that, taking that deep out of play. And not only that, but also eliminating Naga. The pressure that came from that Junkrat was just way too much, so taking him out of that play was huge. Now they can go forward, and Kib on that Reaper can really start taking action, because this is where Reaper starts really looking really solid, especially with that Death Blossom.
And they have Coalescence good to go as well for the side of Crusade. They might just use it to open up the fight, as we see him pop it right up. Doesn't find anything just yet, but will keep both his teammates healthy and force the opposition off the point potentially, but Self-Destructor is gonna come through, gets a resuit. Funny Astro able to take down Marine Lord. It's gonna expend one of those resurrects coming out of Didro, and now with those ults still available, Kib, you're gonna have to get our eyes on this guy, see where he's gonna go in with the Death Blossom, if he can find any targets whatsoever. Going in from the backline, still waits it out, but finds Krems. Doesn't find anything else really, and no ticks achieved just yet. And now with the Blade coming out of Naga, he will try to answer, but Fusion picks up 2 kills with the Primal Rage.
Kib stayed alive against that Blade too, pulled him completely over to the other side, so Naga wasn't able to get anything done with it. Now they're going to take this in a really fast time here. They just need to go ahead and close out this stall. We see the Coalescence coming out, Crusade going to find a kill with it. And now we see as well Chubbs pulling back into his Primal Rage coming out. That's going to knock Crusade off, and everybody else for that matter. And the auto-locking from Crusade on the Moira, denying to some degree at least that Tracer play as Poppy Fresh comes back into it. Playing off the side, the Mei is there as well. They kill off Tridro. It's just a matter of time here, Brunch.
Especially since they have 4 minutes to go. It's just the classic Assault Syndrome as the final few kills will go through, and in the end, it will be those guys picking up a very quick 2-0. I expected Junkertown to go the way of them, but very dominant performance here overall by them.
Still, though, because we did see Piece of Cake actually taking it with some time left, we will see them with an opportunity to go ahead and try to get a little bit of ahead here. Now with an attack opportunity going forward, 1 minute will be on the clock for them. Extra time, of course, allotted to those guys, now having 450 in their time bank. Certainly, you have to favor those guys in this kind of situation. They just have so much more time to work with. They looked so dominant on their first push. But now time to adapt here. You know, you've already seen things on both sides as we go into the second the second play, I guess you could say. I mean, Piece of Cake now looking to try to find some way to not only get that first point sorted, because 450 is just so much time. You really have to get some kind of headway on that second objective, or at least make your way and have a fantastic defense to try to stop that 33% from happening on the first tick. It's just a very tough and difficult position to be in right now if you're a Piece of Cake here on Anubis. They already lost Junkertown, so
it's gonna be tough, but it's not over just yet for them, and as a result, we'll see them so far go for the same composition, nothing too unexpected. No Widowmaker out of the gate, however, and as a result, maybe we're just gonna see them play a little more decisively, a little more aggressive onto those backline squishies, as they will see them engage right now. Of course, nobody in real danger of dying just yet.
Now we see them going forward, already kind of on the side of the point right now, but Kib slices through, not just finding Dridro, but the second support as well. This man has been unleashed. Kib has been so phenomenal so far throughout this group stage, but really shining right now here on the defense for Anubis. They need to make this stop. They found a great first stop here for the first fight, but now have to do it one more time.
It's gonna be a tough one, but with 15 seconds remaining, you know what Piece of Cake are gonna do. They're just gonna try and brute force their way onto the point. Now 9 seconds, Chubbs does have that shield, is gonna pop it down. Bubble, however, already destroyed by the opposition. With 3 seconds remaining, they're just gonna go ahead and try and jump on the objective. It will be Poppy Fresh, will pop that overtime right now. Still trying to stay alive. Marine Lord, though, taking down Fusions could enable something to happen here for his team.
Kib now just buying time. Marine Lord already popped the Transcendence, so once that blade is ready, expect Kib to pull it out, and there it is. He slices right through. What a double kill from this guy. They're going to make this stop, no problem, as he's going to go ahead and start putting some more damage now into Chubbs, who falls. Overtime ticks down, and what a first stop here for those guys. Now they have 450 here, Brunch, on the clock to make their attack work. 33% is all they need.
And considering the amount of room they have to achieve that particular objective, it's looking very unlikely for a Piece of Cake to find any real strategy to stop them. But even if it's gonna take a Herculean effort, you gotta go with the safest all-around composition. And as a result, it's probably gonna be more of that dive overall, I would expect, or counter dive.
All right. Curious to see what we're going to get now. We do see Kib at the moment on the Genji here. And I think that's important to note because the Reaper was a kind of pivotal pickup, I think, for their first attack. But I was thinking to myself, I was looking at it, and I was thinking, Kib being on the Genji here might be a little bit better with the way that they like to hold up on that high ground. Piece of Cake kind of pushing Chubbs up there with that Orisa, which they're doing again. They throw a Marine Lord over to that other side, and that might leave an opening there for Kib to just run in, dive with the rest of this here, and really make a play. They're going to be likely going with Craggy here on the Roadhog. I'm not sure if he's going to stick with this or he's going to go back over to Tracer, which is certainly a possibility. But if he stays on Roadhog, that's going to essentially be the same thing as the Reaper, but they're going to actually double up on it. Kib going back to the Reaper now instead of the Genji. I actually really would have liked to see him on the Genji again to just deal with Marine Lord on the side here, especially as Popey Fresh is over here trying to help him out. But still, triple tank strat with that Reaper going to be the same concept, bring them down off that high ground.
Because they know they have to force the opposition to really give up on that high ground advantage is dropped down. And Marine Lord and Ginger already going down. Both supports out of the question for Piece of Cake. And this is surely going to have to be it, as they just have to clean up House, Poppy Fresh, Chubbs, desperate attempt. But that's going to be it. Those guys picking up the second win and looking unstoppable in this group.
Wow. I mean, completely insane performance, really smart play as well. We've seen stuff like that already in the league, and now kind of trickling down here to Overwatch Pit Season 2, where you just bring those guys down off of that high ground. It completely eliminates that threat. You don't have to deal with it as much, and you also have control. They were able to just force them down, so really good stuff from those guys. We liked them on Junkertown, even more on Anubis.
And we'll find out who's going to be the victor coming into the next series, so stay tuned, don't go anywhere.